やがったな。
わらわが赤で語るとき、そこには一切の幻想がない。
I was wondering when she would use that.
わらわがこの島には100人しかいないと一言赤で語れば、そなたにはもはや101人目を生み出すことはかなわぬのだ。
That is true. We wouldn't be doing this for an eternity, so... I mean, our move would basically be... Like, the only thing that we can use that move for is to give us time to think of a completely different move. Until that time comes... Eh.
ほら、バトラ。今度はどんな真実を赤で語ってみせようか。
I mean, she is thinking of it. She is thinking of using that one red truth, that there is no such thing as a 19th person, as a 19th human. She is thinking it, but yeah, it kinda depends. Can she use that red truth or not? I am curious, Beatrice.
どんな拠り所を叩き切って、そなたを絶望に突き落としてやろうか。
Just kick the ninth. You can only say the truth in red. So, what's it gonna be, Beatrice? What is your red truth? What is the red truth that you're gonna use against us?
そうら、いつもの怯えた顔を見せてみるがいい。なに？そなた、笑うか？
I wonder what kind of creepy look I had on my face as I left right then. That red sure is scary. Every time it jumps out, I am driven into the depths of hopelessness. But I had already realized it. There was no need to be necessarily afraid of the red.
また抜きやがったな。殿下の宝刀だ。それで今度はベアトリーチェ様は何をどう赤で語ってくださるってんだ？
ほう、それはどういう意味か。急に余裕を見せよって。
悪いが、その真っ赤な宝刀は俺も抜いてくれるのを待ってたんだ。さて、お前は今度は何を赤で宣言してくれるんだ？
Yeah. You try and do that, Beatrice. You try and do that. Give us all you got.
犯人は18人の中にいるとでも言ってくれるのか？言っとくが、そいつは自爆だぜ。その時点でお前は魔女説を自ら捨てたも同然。まさに盗領だ。
Yeah, I mean, that's true. If it's one of the 18 people, then that's game over. So she definitely cannot say that. The red isn't always necessarily to Beato's advantage. On the contrary, if she used it the wrong way, it's dangerous enough that she could bring about her own death. If she used it carelessly and said something which ended up denying herself, that will be exactly the same thing as self-destructing. Yeah, kind of the same thing as the first time when we were introduced to the red truths. And how we managed to make up our own theory, even with Beatrice's red truths, making us think that we are cornered, when in actuality, we found our theory. Though I would question that theory, as I did in the second investigation that I did, about the door being open in the first place, that Beatrice was tricking us at that point, but still, there is the possibility of Beatrice being put in a corner if she speaks the wrong red truths. There is still a possibility, so let's see.
確かに俺にとっても18人の中に犯人がいると赤で言われることは受け入れたくない悲しい事実さ。たとえ誰が犯人であっても俺はきっと辛い気持ちになるだろうぜ。だがそれはそれ以前にお前の敗北も意味する。人間が犯人だとお前が赤で語ることはお前の投了宣言にも等しい。
Basically, yeah. I mean, saying in red that it is one of the 18 people would mean that Balor is surely going to go through some tough emotions, thinking that it is one of his beloved family members or something like that. But that also means that it is game over for Beatrice. So, yeah, I mean, there is definitely a positive for that.
お前が俺と差し違えても相打ちにしたいってんならそれも面白い一手だろうぜ。だがこの勝負は俺の勝ちで終わる。
Beatrice's red was truly her secret weapon, her treasured blade. The things she spoke in red would become solidified as the truth, and no amount of evidence or counter arguments could change them. They had cut me down to size many times now, running in too many supports my heart had to lean on. However, if she used it carelessly, then I could also find a little information about the truth. In the last game, especially during the Chapo's locker room trick, I had taken advantage of that. Indeed, and had once closed the herb in almost completely. But she was also pretty sly. She had learned from experience, and since then had started using discretion in the timing of the red. Yeah, that is true. Like the red truth that she used in the other locked rooms. Like backing Balor in a corner to leave him no choice but to suspect one of the 18 people, with the master keys and the servants and all that. This fitting of tension was almost literally like a battle with real swords. This was a battle of high intelligence. No, none of intelligence. It really was twisted logic. This was the world's craziest and worst battle of twisted logic.
さあ、今度はお前の手番だぜ。そうさ。お前のヘンペルのカラスを使うには、まず18人以外に何人の人間がいるのかを赤で確定させる必要がある。その上で、それらの人間についてさらに赤で犯人でないことを宣言したならば、なるほど。こいつは俺にとって致命傷になるだろうぜ。
あれほど怯えていた赤をもはやみじんも怯えぬとはな。たくましいやつよ。
抜いてみろよ。殿下の宝刀。バッサリ決まって、今度こそ俺を屈服できるかもしれねえぜ。
Yeah, that is true. I mean, hey, Balor went through a lot up until this point. He's a little stronger with his emotions and such, so he is gonna be able to resist a little better than last time. Whatever punches you're gonna throw, Beatrice.
面白い。こうでなくてはな。
Agitate her. Provoke her. Drive her into a corner to make her speak in red. Of course her red has always cut right through on my only threads of hope. But don't be afraid of that. On this silent overcome with falsehoods and illusions, the only thing I can trust is the information that she speaks in red. It was my only way across the chasm of hell. Just a single tightrope. Her merciless blood-red blade is the only way I can survive. This isn't just walking on tightrope. It's literally like walking on the edge of a blade. Of course I'm afraid. In terms of her contrapositive, my victory condition, the denial of the witch, meant that the culprit was a human. But I didn't want to search for the culprit amid the 18. Therefore, I held onto a weak point, since I had to deny the witch and the 18 at the same time. Since I had been unable to understand that last time, that was where she had hit me, leaving me tattered and defeated. But that's alright. Let her hit me. Let her attack. Alright. So we are getting closer to Balor thinking of possibilities that it is one of the 18 people, as much as it's gonna be really hard for him. So it's not like he is downright refusing it like last time. He is prepared for that possibility whenever it will come. So yep, no problem. Someone said it once in an old sword fighting movie that a good fortress has one, and only one, intentionally weak point. The enemy would gather there. They would be lured there. And that would be where the actual battle took place. As long as I understand my weak points, and as long as she wants to attack those weak points, it's as if I've induced her to attack her. Carefully, judge the distance from your enemy, and retreat step by step. Make them draw their sword first. The more she recklessly flourishes that red, the more chances I'll have to strike back. Don't be afraid of the red. Keep the pressure on, so that she's forced to refute with the red. No matter how oppressively she speaks in red. Yes, that red itself is the same as fresh blood spreading from her wounds.
さあ、どうしたよ。まずはこの島に合計で何人いるのか赤で語ってもらおうじゃねえか。さもないとお前のカラスは俺に切り込めないぜ。
Indeed. And there's also that silence can be golden as well. Your silence can definitely tell us something as well, if you don't want to tell us any red truth.
破れかぶれがこうもやりにくいとは。捨て身というやつはいつの時代も侮れんな。やはり金蔵の孫か。追い詰められれば追い詰められるほどに不敵。
I don't know why I cleared his throat.
膠着しましたね。せっかくの紅茶も冷めてしまいますよ、お嬢様。
Rosa, who was supposed to be her ally, regularly rushed her next move. Bato smiled back, probably intending to demonstrate that she was still relaxed, but she couldn't hide the sweat building up on her forehead. By now, she had completely lost that relaxedness which had allowed her to turn her nose up at her worthless opponent. Of course, she probably wasn't really cornered by something like this. She was just being cautious. Until now, I had been inexperienced. I didn't have a good grasp on how to fight, and I was underpowered as an opponent. However, now that we had reached the third game, she realized that it was starting to become skilled. I mean, if you are to think about it, this is technically the second game where we're doing this kind of battle. Because the first game, we didn't really do jack shit. And it is only in the second game that we were introduced to this sort of discussion and battle that we're having here. So, yeah, we are learning. And she had grown more cautious, thinking every move over carefully. Sure, that's just fine, Beatrice. I'm sorry to have kept you waiting. Are you happy now?
面白くなってきたぜ。
バトラ
拉致が開かねえな。ならズバッと気持ちよくいつものやつで行こうじゃねえか。
ほう、いつものやつとな。ならば頼もうではないか。あれを聞かぬとやはり始まった気がせぬわ。
The first move was mine.
行くぜベアト。副将要求。この島には18人しかいない。
Oh! Alright, what's it gonna be, Beato? What's it gonna be?
こいつを赤で言われちまったら俺は18人の誰かを疑わざるを得ない。19人目の仕業にはもうできず八方塞がりさ。
However, we're gonna have to think about it this way. There are two options over here, just like last time. Either she refuses to say in red because, well, it will put him in danger, or she's trying to hide something else over here.
だが俺は18人の中に犯人が絶対にいないと信じてる。
We're gonna have to be careful over here. I don't think that this is gonna be the move that is gonna make us win.
あんな残酷な殺人を18人の誰にも起こせるものか。繰り返すぞ。副将要求。この島には18人しかいない。
拒否する。理由は明かさない。
I had avoided what would have been the worst red for me. If she had repeated that, I would have been faced with those two worst choices of accepting the witch or suspecting one of the 18. Though, okay, let's think of it this way. Just because she's refusing to say that in red, that doesn't necessarily mean that she cannot say it. Maybe she's refusing to say that in red because she doesn't want to use that like right now for some unknown reason that we don't know of. Maybe she wants to use that at some point when it's truly going to be in her benefit instead of right now. She's going to use that as a surprise attack that is going to defeat us like altogether in the future. So we're still going to have to be careful about that. Like last time, all over again. But Bato had not proclaimed my ultimate and greatest weakness in red. She had declined to repeat it, even though there was no reason why she shouldn't have struck. Even though it was a weakness she should have been drooling at. I mean, that is true. She hadn't sliced me up with red by using that move, which should have been as good as forking a rook and a king. It was a big sign of my advantage. That's right. The culprit isn't one of the 18 people. I won't doubt anyone. And since the culprit isn't a witch either, it means that the 19th person exists on this island. And that's you. A person who, as grandfather's mistress of 30 years, has been living secretly in a hidden mansion in the forest for a long, long time. The human Beatrice.
そうさ。お前は魔女なんかじゃない。この島に何十年も隠れ住んできた。ただの人間なんだ。
1000年を経た無限の魔女のわらわをただの人間呼ばわりしたか。
For a while, Beatrice continued to laugh unpleasantly, gloating or maybe spiteful.
いいか、続けるぜ。続けて副将要求。この島には19人以上がいる。
Ooh? Beatrice fell silent once again. The thing that confirming the number of humans on this island might possibly stand to give her some large disadvantage. It's probably making her extremely cautious. The red had already become a foothold for my counterattack. With that in mind, the red had become a risk for the witch. But if she couldn't repeat this, her Impulse Raven wouldn't work. In order to break my devil's proof, first, the existence of and number of people outside the 18 needed to be confirmed in red. And that's right. She couldn't break the existence of a 19 person unless she used red. I had closed Battle in, giving her no choice but to speak in red. There really was a way to fight in this witch's game.
拒否してもいいんだぜ。お前が赤で言えないなら、この島の合計人数は18プラス X ってことになる。この X は初手で許すには相当でかい大駒だぜ。
Like, I am still feeling that Beatrice is hiding the red truth. Like, she could use that red truth here, but she doesn't want to yet.
何しろ以後18人の誰にも不可能だったという根拠のトリックは全て18人以外の人間 X で説明可能になる。全員アリバイ系の密室を全て打ち破れる大駒だ。
It was just like a bishop in chess, which can cut a thin line through any enemy forces as long as there's a slight gap. It only exerts an effect over squares of the same color, but it has a great ability to control the board. It looked like Beato also well understood her current plight. She couldn't just let such an important piece go, especially this close to the beginning of the game. If she pulled out her red treasured sword, it wouldn't be that difficult to save that piece. But Beato was completely aware that it was expecting it. She was afraid that a careless red truth might end up strangling her own neck. Because, in the first place, which was something which should be denied in red. Believe. Don't doubt. Witches do not exist. Something like that cannot exist in this world. They can only exist in the cracks in reality. They are a fragile existence, curled up in these cracks, frantically trying to protect themselves from the brutal winds of truth. And can only barely exist like a mirage by surviving on falsehoods and fantasy. In other words, the red truth, which only witches can use, is the very reality by which they risk denying themselves. The more they brandish their red words, the more they begin to lose, bit by bit, that crack in reality inside which they can endure. That is why they don't want, through the red truth, to carelessly lose that crack in reality which is based on fuzzy information, or in other words, fantasy. Because they understand that they would be greatly cornering themselves. Of course, she would never admit it, because if she did, it would be the same as admitting that she is something that cannot exist in this world, like an imaginary number. Do not be afraid. Stay strong. She knows this deep down, and better than anyone. That her red treasured sword cannot easily be used without considerable resolve.
どうしたよ。繰り返すぜ。副将要計。この島には19人以上がいる。
へへへ。
拒否する。
At the end of a long time spent deliberating, letting a single deep breath escape, she quietly proclaimed her refusal. I had thought that she'd use it. But Beato refused to speak in red, even though it would cost her victory in the opening part of the game.
拒否したな。ということは今後、俺は18人以外の架空人物 X を何人でも使い放題ってことになるぜ。
好きにするがよい。わらわはそなたの復唱を拒否した。今はそれで十分である。拒否の理由は、いや、今はまだ明かさない。いずれすぐにわかる。もったいぶりやがってよ。あえて使わぬ赤もまた赤らしい使い方よ。そなたは赤き宝刀と呼んだな。愉快な例えよ。わらわも使おう。宝刀は抜かぬうちが花よ。むしろ抜かぬことによって醸せるイフというものもある。
Oh.
そうだな。俺はお前がいつ赤でひっくり返してくるか常に念頭に置いて戦わなければならない。こいつはえれえプレッシャーだ。それに副将を拒否される方が辛い場合もある。何しろ俺の読みが正しいから拒否できないのか、ミスリードにはまって泳がされてるのか区別がつかないからな。
That is true, so we are not out of the ballpark yet.
そういう意味ではなるほど。抜かずの宝刀ってわけだ。
なあ、同じ突き落とすなら少しでも高いところに行かせてからに限る。まだ始まったばかり。まだまだな。この勝負は今はわらわがリザインする。淡き勝利に今は酔え。今はな。
That bitter comment did. In fact, it appeared to have marked the end of the game's opening battle. Even so, I couldn't relax my guard at all. I wasn't able to relax my feeling of tension until I was greeted by the sound of Ronoe's applause.
お見事です、バトラ様。まずは序盤はバトラ様有利の展開でスタートというところでしょうか。
さあな、この駒が俺の手でもぎ取ったものなのか、取るよう誘導されたものかはまだわからねえな。
Indeed.
どうせお前のことだ。俺が罠にはまり始めてるのを知ってて白々しく拍手をしてるんだろ。
まさか序盤とはいえお嬢様より一本を奪った手腕を純粋に祝福いたしております。何しろお嬢様はすぐ増長するお方。たまにはこのような刺激も良い薬かと思いますよ。
お前んとこの執事、ほんと口悪いな。
であろう？たまにわらわでもカチンとくるぞ。
それは大変に失礼いたしました。さあさあ、お嬢様にバトラ様、紅茶のおかわりはいかがですかな。まだゲームは始まったばかりでございます。ゲームを彩るお茶とお菓子はどうかこの私めにお任せを。どうぞお気兼ねなくゲームをおすすめになってください。
そうさせてもらう。先を進めるぜ。これからが本番だ。
I mean, we haven't even started the ritual yet. Another long chess game is waiting for us for sure. How will the madness increase, I wonder?
よかろう。時計を進めようではないか。ロノウェ、紅茶を頼む。
かしこまりました。クッキーはい
らぬ。ベルゼブブにやれば喜ぼう。しばし沈黙せよ。
While listening to the sound of the demon butler pouring tea, the witch closed her eyes slightly and fell into silence. For some time, she was deeply lost in thought, but eventually a roguish glint came into her eyes.
よかろう。わらわがどうして初手にて赤で語るのを拒否した。
Wait, what?
今より分からせてやろうぞ。
What? Okay, well, this is a surprise. You mean you want to tell us now? I was thinking that you're gonna wait it out until the right moment to strike, but okay.
何？上等じゃねえかよ。お手並み拝見と行くぜ。
やはり見逃すには惜しい大駒よ。拙速かもしれぬが動かせてもらおう。赤は使わぬが今よりそれをわらわに代わってローザが説明する。
What? Rosa?
聞くがよい。もちろん私も同意よ。ローザもそうでしょ。ローザ？
ごめんなさい。私も同じよ。同意するわ。
どうしたんや、ローザさん。あんたさっきからずいぶんおとなしいな。体調でも悪いんとちゃうか？
From the beginning, Rosa had never been one to willingly cut in on her siblings' fights. But even so, she seemed unmotivated, and had said almost nothing at all during this night's conference. The whole time she had been hanging her head, and appeared to be thinking of something else.
あんたさっきからぼんやりしてるわよ。そんなので遺産が守れると思ってるの？ あんたも一児の母なんだから、もっとしっかりなさいよ。
ごめんなさい。
Well, it's not like you are of any help either, Eva.
朝がだいぶ早かったんじゃないかね。体調が悪いなら無理をしない方がいいだろう。
客室にベッドの用意がありますよ。お休みになってはいかがですか？ご案内しますよ。
いえ、大丈夫です。ありがとう。
どうしたんだ？何か心配事でもあるのか？
いえ、別に。
そう？さっきからずっと心ここにあらずという感じよ。そしてそれは今私たちがしている議題と何か関係があるんじゃないかしら。
At those words, everyone stared at Rosa together. As if in response, Rosa's shoulders quivered. Apparently, Kiri's guess hadn't been wrong. Nor did Rosa deny it. You gotta be freaking kidding me. Don't tell me that Beatrice planned something here with Rosa. Something that she predicted would happen if we reached this far in the first battle, like earlier. About the 19th person.
いえ、
Come on. You can do it, Rosa. Have courage. She swallowed whatever it was she had been about to say, and went silent again. By now, even the other siblings were also beginning to realize that something about her demeanor was different from usual.
どうしたんだ？さっきからおかしいぞ。何か思うことでもあるのか？
わしら全員で団結しようって誓い合ったばかりやないか。一人で悩むなんて水臭い話やで。話したってな。
ローザ、話しなさい。
Pressed by the men one after the other, Rosa made up her mind, and nervously began to open up. It was almost as though she was trying to confess to some modest prank which had inevitably brought about a serious situation. Such was the atmosphere in the room.
いえ、ベアトリーチェっていうお父様の愛人って本当に生きてるのかしらって思って。
はあ？そりゃ生きてるに決まってるでしょう。こうして手紙を送ってくるぐらいだもの。
元気かどうかは別の問題だろうけどな。肖像画の美女も今じゃきっといいお年だろうぜ。
元気やと思うで。金のことで悪知恵働くやつは決まっていくつになっても元気や。案外悪巧みは最高の回春剤かもしらへんで。
生きてるはずないの？
え？今なんて？
ベアトリーチェは死んでるのよ。私が殺した。
え？
なんだって？
どういうことよ、ローザ？
でも私が殺したわけじゃ。でも私があんなところに連れ出したからやっぱり私が殺したのよ。あれは夢だと思い込もうとしたのよ。でもやっぱりあれは夢じゃなかったのよ。だからこれはベアトリチェの俺からの手紙なのよ。
It was so sudden that everyone was lost for words. Rosa kept on talking, unable to stop, holding her head as her hair flew all about.
どうか落ち着いて、ローザさん。
わしには何が何やらさっぱりや。もう死んどる？どういう意味なんや。
2つの意味があると思うわ。まず1つ目は言葉通りの意味。 そしてもう一つは私たちの想像が正しかったことを裏付けるもの。
ということはローザはベアトリーチェに会ったことがあるというのか。
そんな話ローザの口からは一度も聞いたことがないわ。ローザ、いつよ。あなたは一体いつベアトリーチェに会ったのよ。
昔よ。ずっと昔よ。まだこの島に引っ越してきたばかりで私は幼かった。私は悪くないの。私が殺したわけじゃ。
落ち着け。誰もお前を責めちゃいねえぜ。まず水でも飲め。夏希さん、水差しを頼む。
はい。どうぞローザさん、どうか落ち着いて。
Until Rosa was able to regain her calm amidst her ragged breathing, no one was able to speak a word. This is not right. Not once did Rosa ever show a hint that she met Beatrice before. I mean, hell, in the second game, when Rosa met Beatrice in the garden, it looked as if that happened for the first time. The only connection Rosa had to Beatrice is, well, her being scared of witches when she was a child, so... what the hell is this?
「ベアトリーチ、先ほどから呼んでおる。聞こえなんだか？」
そうであったか。すまぬ。
Eh?
ぼんやり考え事をしていた。許せ。
良い天気だな。
Wait, is Beatrice's voice different here? Hold on, let me turn up the volume here.
なるほど。陽気に心を奪われるのもわかるというもの。紅茶はここで飲むか？
わらわは何者なのか。
今紅茶を持ってくる。しばし待て。
紅茶は良い。わらわの話に付き合え。よかろう。
Kinzo had used the excuse of going to bring some black tea to try and interrupt the conversation for the time being. But his attempt had been very transparent. I sat in a garden chair and beckoned Kinzo to do the same. Kinzo sat down heavily, exaggerating his age. For a while, we sat, appreciating the sounds.
わらわは何者なのか。この問いに今日まで答えてくれた者はおらぬ。
Yeah, it is different. Huh.
なぜか皆目をそらし、はぐらかす。そなたとは長い仲だ。わらわはそなたを無二の友であり、そして父ですらあると思っておる。
Eh?
だからどうか教えてほしい。
Eh? What? あれ? Nani? Friend? Father? Why is Beatrice talking to him like this? Almost as if she's a completely different person here. Is this a dream?
そなたは知っているはずだ。
わらわが何者であるかを。
I mean, just Kinzo talking to Beatrice in general, like right over here. This is a bit of a surprise. Being able to do that. And this is old Kinzo. It's not like we're talking about a very long, like this happened like many years ago when he was younger or something like that. So it doesn't seem like it.
なぜにそのようなことが気になるのか。そなたはベアトリーチェ、この屋敷の主ではないか。それ以上の何を知りたいというのか。
わからない。
This mansion. Huh. I wonder. That dream that I saw earlier with Good Witch Beatrice, and presumably Child Beatrice, could this be the hidden mansion that may possibly exist on the island? Where a 19th person may be hiding? And still, like, there is one question to be raised about this at this point, and that is, why is that woman with gray hair called Beatrice too? Like, and since Beatrice over here is questioning her identity, does that mean that Beatrice is not even her real name? Like, there's something strange about this. I never really questioned Beatrice's name before, up until this point. First with that Good Witch Beatrice, and now this particular Beatrice that's completely different than the Beatrice that we know.
なんだ。何が知りたいのか自分でもわからぬというのか。それは不可解な。若き日には出口なき思考の迷路にて遊びたくなることもある。そなたの悩みもそれであろう。
Kinzo laughed as though it was a trivial matter. However, I couldn't help but feel that this behavior was nothing but another attempt to force me to stop my further questioning.
やはりそなたもそれを語ってはくれぬのか。
語ることなど何もない。そなたはベアトリーチェだ。それで十分ではないか。
いや違う。わらわが知りたいのは名前ではない。わらわが何者なのかだ。わらわは誰で、何で、いつからここにいて、そしていつまでここで日々を過ごせばよいのか。
やはり紅茶を持ってこよう。せっかくの陽気がもったいないとは思わぬか。
これは何の話だ。どうやらお前の昔話のようだが。
And yet, it feels so unreal. Like, what this discussion is telling me is that it very well can be that Kinzo put Beatrice inside that hidden mansion for all these years. And yet, all this time, we kept hearing Kinzo yell about the revival of Beatrice and wanted to see her again, since he's not able to talk to her with his low magical frequency mumbo jumbo stuff. So this sort of feels conflicting here.
そのようだな。まさかここまで遡るとは。
自分は誰なのかとえらく高尚な悩みをお持ちのようじゃねえか。
無理もないわ。当時のわらわは自分が何者なのか、何のために生きているのかを理解できなかった。
ま、誰でも思春期になると自分の生きる意味とは何ぞやみたいな哲学的な悩みに一度はとらわれるものさ。お前にもそんな微笑ましい時期があっただけという話だろ。